Routine. Going through these slides, tonight's speaker will be Debra Pottinger. She will speak on Ameren, Missouri's Pure Power. And our next Green Speaker event will probably be in January. Looks like the Green Speaker series will take December off. So if it goes somewhere, it sends me a postcard. Now on January 17th, we will have Forest Relief talk on the benefits of community trees. I've been reading about trees and I work with trees, and I'm learning that trees are amazing. We take them for granted, but they provide so many services for us. And I'm sure there's a lot more to learn, and Forest Relief is doing good work, and I'm looking forward to this. So, hope to see you there. A community event that I plan on going to is December 6th at the Ethical Society, a panel discussion on climate change, and one of the panel members will be a park ranger from Crater Lake National Park. As usual, we have free grocery bags back there in the back. I don't want to take them all home, so please grab them. Previous talks are on YouTube, and we're videotaping this one as well. It will be posted in a week or two. And I think you're probably all on my list already. Tonight's speaker is Debra Pottinger. She majored in interior design, and she worked at a furniture store for 26 years, but when the store closed, she decided to follow her heart, and she got into renewable energy. She got a job with 3 Degrees, a California company whose mission is to reduce the impact of climate change through renewable energy. And in 2006, 3 Degrees got the contract with Ameren, Missouri to manage their Pure Power, their renewable energy program. And they manage a bunch of such programs around the country. So we're very grateful to have Debra here tonight. Please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you for having me speak tonight. As Dirk said, I am employed by 3 Degrees. We were contracted by Ameren to manage their voluntary renewable energy program. 3 Degrees specializes in managing renewable energy programs for our utility partnerships throughout the country. As you can imagine, most of the places that 3 Degrees manages utility partnerships are on the coast. Seattle, Portland, California, Virginia, Connecticut. We're really the lone duck in the Midwest. And, but it's great being in this business because I see improvements being made, and sustainability is becoming a big part of our region. WashU has one of the top programs in sustainability in the country. People are coming here from Seattle to study at WashU. So we are starting to, have our little green spot in the center of the country, and it's growing. And it's actually exciting being around a lot of companies whose mission is sustainability, and everyone's approaching things in different ways. So collectively, we are making a difference. Ameren's program came out of the request from their customers. At the time, in 2006, Ameren did not have a voluntary renewable energy program. This, like I said, came out of the request from customers. Customers wanted this. It is truly voluntary. It's a program that can be participated in by a resident or business, and there's no contract with the program. If someone's job status changes, they have an emergency, they just change their mind, they can drop out of the program at any point in time. If someone participates in the program and says, oh, my money this month, I need that to pay the bills. You just don't pay it, and Ameren wipes it out. How many things can we do in our life that is truly voluntary without a contract? So I'm very proud to represent Ameren's Voluntary Green Energy Program. I do this mostly, my position with Ameren Pure Power is Manager of Business Development. So my job, for the most part, is calling on businesses. Businesses are the ones who use the most energy. When you have someone such as Mercy Hospital, which is one of our largest customers. Mercy Hospital uses a huge amount of electricity. Okay? So it only makes sense that talking to businesses and getting them behind renewable energy is one of the main places to start. But everyone, we have over 5,000 residential customers in Ameren, Missouri territory. This is strictly Ameren, Missouri, not Ameren, Illinois, strictly Ameren, Missouri. We have over 5,000 residential customers that participate in this program. So collectively, we are making a difference. If you talk about renewable energy, there's a couple ways you can participate in renewable energy. You can put solar panels on your roof. Okay? That is becoming a lot more affordable. So anyone who is interested in looking at the feasibility of solar, excuse me, for your home or your business, we work with quite a few solar companies around the city of St. Louis. There's a lot of rebates right now. There's a lot of programs for not-for-profit organizations. So it is a good time to look at on-site renewable energy as far as solar. Wind turbines in your backyard on your property. Okay, well, that's expensive also. The technology is changing, and as with solar and the wind turbines, there are smaller applications of wind turbines that are coming up, and they're efficient. Okay, so if you drove down downtown and you went down Shoto, at the corner of Shoto and Jefferson, and you looked at the new building that is there, that was put up by the sheet metal workers, there are some small turbines on the roof there. Okay, so they are coming into urban environments. Okay, and they don't look like the big windmills of the past. They're smaller, maybe a little bit more artistic than they used to be. The problem with whether it's Albaresi's turbine up on 170 are the ones that are on the roof down at the sheet metal workers building. You seldom see them turning. Okay, so efficiency of the turbines is an issue because you have to have a certain amount of wind, and if somebody puts up a building behind you, that can change everything that you're doing. The same with solar. Not every property is a good candidate for solar because if you have shade, generally you need a southern exposure to have an effective solar panel that is not blocked by any type of trees. There's a lot of properties, especially in older areas in the city of St. Louis, that really cannot, we're talking to Webster Groves. It's not really a good area for solar because you have a lot of big older trees. And we definitely don't want to cut down the trees to put up a solar panel because trees remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And, that's part of the photosynthesis process. We all learned in grade school that, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So, if we lived in a natural world, we didn't have as many cars on the road, we didn't put as much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and we didn't cut down as many old trees or older trees, then we wouldn't be in a situation where we need to reduce carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So it's just the planet that we live on. So the other way that you can participate in renewable energy is through a program like Ameren Pure Power. And this is a very, very affordable way to support renewable energy. Okay? And I'm going to explain how Ameren's Pure Power program works. Ameren's program, as I said, is a voluntary renewable energy program. What we do is we purchase renewable energy credits or renewable energy certificates from the Missouri wind farms. The program was designed to support renewable energy in Missouri. And part of the program says that 75% of the renewable energy credits that we purchase must come from Missouri. Okay? The last 3 years, we have purchased 100% Missouri wind renewable energy credits. And when a business or residential customer enrolls in the program, it creates a demand for the electricity from those wind farms to be added to our power grid. Okay? And that's done by purchasing that renewable energy certificate or credit. And so if a customer, say for your home, the average St. Louis customer uses about 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per month. Okay, that's equal to about an $85 electric bill. And I say average because a lot of times in the summer we have much higher bills and in the winter we have lower bills. So it's an average. So 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per month. Okay? If you offset 1,000 kilowatt hours for a year through renewable energy from the Missouri wind farms, you will save the environment equal to 18,999 pounds of carbon dioxide. That's equal to not driving your car for 1.6 months. The emissions from your car for 1.6 months. So it does make a difference. 3 Degrees, as I spoke, manages utility partnerships across the country. And so I am contracted by Ameren, but I am not employed by Ameren. So I work at a lot of events. I may work down at Earth Day. I may work down at one of the festivals downtown, Taste of St. Louis. And inevitably, I get questions and comments about Ameren. I don't work for them. I'm contracted by them. So I don't always agree with everything they do either. So, but the way I feel about this, we can't change the world, but we can take care of our own little corner. So I'm doing that through working within the system. The way a renewable energy certificate or credit works, a renewable energy credit is the proof that 1 megawatt or 1,000 kilowatt hours of renewable energy, and that has to come from a green power resource. How many people in this room understand the definition of renewable energy? I know you do. Everybody? Renewable energy is something that is renewed naturally in the environment. Okay, so the wind blows, it turns a turbine. Okay, so the wind is blowing and it's renewing itself. Okay, the same as solar. The sun comes out, and so that source is renewable. Okay, it's not depleted as far as the sun doesn't go away after you've used that electricity, after you've taken that electricity. Geothermal is also another source of renewable energy. That's taking the heat from the earth. Small hydro is considered renewable energy, such as if you had a mountain stream and you had turbines in the mountain stream and it did nothing to change the ecosystem. Okay, that is considered a renewable resource. However, Hoover Dam is not considered a renewable resource because of what it has done to the ecosystems to create that dam. Okay, so it has to be small hydro to be renewable energy. There's also some wave energy, electricity that's generated by waves. If you want to have some fun someday, do a Google search on the 10 largest renewable energy projects in the world. It is absolutely amazing, some of the things that are being done. So, but for locally, we're mostly talking about solar, wind, utility grade wind, and some geothermal. Now, geothermal is only considered renewable energy if it's being used to create electricity. Okay? It's not renewable energy if it's being used to displace the amount of electricity you would have used. Okay, so it gets a little technical there. So the way this happens is, yes?
Is biomass?
Yes, biomass is renewable energy. And so, you know, there are biomass or some locally. Biomass, you can get into kind of some controversies there. My brother still lives on the family farm. And at one time, after he had combined the corn, I said, oh, look at all those corn stalks. That would be great. We could make electricity out of it. And he looks at me and says, no. He says, you take that off my field, then I got to put a bunch of fertilizer in the field. Okay, so I've defeated my purpose. So, you know, it's kind of one of these vicious circles. You got to look at all aspects of it. And so, yes, it is, but it causes another problem. And he says, and then you'll be yelling at me about putting fertilizer on the field. So, I can't win when I'm talking to my brother. So, our program here in the state of Missouri, we started out in 2010. We had one utility grade wind farm up and running in the state of Missouri. All of our wind farms, and I have a map in a further slide, all of our wind farms in the state of Missouri are in the northwest corner of the state. That's the windiest part of the state of Missouri. Okay? They're up around St. Joe. So if you took where St. Joe is in Missouri and followed it across into Illinois, I don't know who's driven to Chicago lately, but there are wind turbines everywhere. Up Highway 55, up Highway 57. That's the windiest part of the state of Illinois. Illinois is a totally different system than in Missouri. The reason we have to have programs such as Pure Power in the state of Missouri is because Ameren is governed by the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission requires Ameren to give us, the consumers, the lowest cost energy available. Okay? That's a good thing. We have the 45th lowest utility rates in the country. But that lowest cost energy does come from coal. Okay, so it's kind of one of those catch-22s. So energy coming from coal costs 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour in Missouri. Energy coming from wind costs 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, so we've got a 3.5 cent gap between the cheap coal and wind energy. Okay, by purchasing a renewable energy credit or certificate from the wind farms, that makes up $0.015 of that 3.5 cents difference. Okay, so then government programs kick in another 2 to 2.5 cents. So now we're at that 6.5 cent level. So as a private investor, if I wanted to invest in a wind farm and went into a bank and said, I want to put up 23 turbines, and it's going to cost me, you know, how many $1 billion, and the banker said, well, how much are you going to make on each kilowatt hour you produce? And I said, oh no, I'm not going to make money. I'm going to lose 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour. How fast do you think the banker would usher me out the door? So by making this a viable project, by helping support by, you know, the income of these wind farms, We went from 1 wind farm in 2010 to 6 up and running now. Okay, so it is in Missouri, it's one of those things that working within the system and with the rules of the Public Service Commission, this is the only way through programs like Ameren Pure Power, this is the only way we can guarantee that we're going to get more renewable energy up and running in the state of Missouri. Illinois, by the same token, is governed by an energy board. Okay? My family, as I said, still lives on the family farm. That's in southern Illinois. Their electric rates, Ameren, Illinois, are 2.5 times what ours here are here in Ameren, Missouri. 2.5 times higher. One of the reasons for that is because Ameren, Illinois purchases their electricity from private suppliers. Okay? So there's a middleman in that electricity. So that 2.5 cent cheap coal now is at 6.5 cents. So wind energy at 6.5 cents is about equal. Okay, so it's much more viable in Illinois than it is here in the state of Missouri. Okay? And that's why you see so many more turbines in Illinois. So, like I said, this program is making a difference. We are not the only one here in the state of Missouri that has a voluntary renewable energy program. Quiver River also has a voluntary program. Their program actually costs more than ours does here in Ameren, Missouri. There are other utilities within the state of Missouri that offer voluntary renewable energy programs. All of those, or most of those, support the Missouri wind farms. Okay? Our Missouri renewable energy projects. And what a renewable energy project does is help supplement the income of these renewable facilities so that they have a viable program. And what happens is, if you think of the electrical grid as a bathtub, okay, we have electricity coming into the program from oil, gas, coal, nuclear, produced by those sources. And then we have electricity coming into the grid or into the bathtub from a green source such as wind. Okay? If we remove the wind out of here, okay, and we consider wind green, and we consider everything else brown, okay? So if everything in the bathtub was brown, the water would be brown. The more we take out of that brown out of there and put in more green, the water starts becoming greener. So the power pool is becoming greener by creating the demand for that electricity. So in essence, I do this for my home. I do 1,000 kilowatt hours per month. That means I create the demand for 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity to be added to the power grid in my name. I claim the carbon reduction for that in a year of 18,999 pounds of carbon dioxide. That, in essence, Ameren can shut down the faucet over there on their dirty coal because my electricity is being added to the power grid from the wind farms. Okay? So, in time, we can really shut down, the more participation we get, we can really shut down the faucets on the fossil fuels and kick up the faucets on the renewable resources. If that all makes sense. And so, if you enroll in Pure Power for your business or for your home, you create the demand for that electricity. It's an additional charge on your electric bill, and for businesses, it's based on 1,000 kilowatt hours per block, and a block is $15. It's 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour. That's for a home, for a residential customer, you have several options. Businesses, it is a percentage of your 100% of your usage, or it can be a percentage of that. The EPA actually sets the levels of participation. And that's just a separate line on the Ameren bill, so like I said, if 1 month you can't or don't want to pay it, you just don't pay it. Then Ameren, Missouri purchases Green E certified renewable energy certificates. Many, many years ago, there was a program in Florida, and they were purchasing renewable energy credits or certificates, and they were not just selling them to you, but they were selling them to me too. Okay, so they were not certified. There was nobody checking that they were doing the right thing. Needless to say, they're not even in business anymore. But our renewable energy certificates it's a independent board that makes sure we have an audit every year. We have to, for everyone that I purchase in a year, everything that is in my name, there's a unique number to that goes with my purchase. And for this Green E certification, there is a lot of paperwork that goes along with that, with the audit. So everything has to match up. Okay, so they can't sell it to me. My number is now, those numbers are retired in my name, so they can't turn around and sell them to you. Okay? And renewable energy credits or certificates are much like a stock or a bond. It's kind of virtual. Okay? Not something you ever see. And the best way to explain, here's the map on our Missouri wind farms. We purchase all of our renewable energy certificates from Farmer City Wind Farm. It is privately owned. It produces enough electricity to power 33,000 homes. Okay? One of the reasons we purchase all of our RECs, and if you hear it, most people call it RECs. One of the reasons we purchase most of our RECs all of our RECs from the Farmer City Wind Farm is because it has no connection to the Carnahan family. So Wind Capital Group, there's people that love Wind Capital Group, there's people that hate Wind Capital Group. To be politically neutral, we can support the Farmer City Wind Farm. Yes?
What is Wind Capital Group?
That was started by one of the Carnahan family, and it was actually started here in St. Louis. He has actually retired from that and now is on a national board for wind production, as I recall. But he was actually the one that got the first wind farm started in the state of Missouri.
So that's a private company?
Yeah, all the wind farms in Missouri are privately owned. They're private investors. This is an Iberola project, and Iberola does some other projects in Illinois. I think they're in Iowa also. So, as opposed to a Wind Capital Group project, and that's who's getting the funding, and that's who's behind the project itself. One thing I think coming from the farming industry, one thing that I found very interesting was John Deere. John Deere is now producing wind turbines. So, something that used to produce farm equipment is now producing turbines here in the United States. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing.
Do you also guarantee that these private wind farms are purchasing their wind turbines or whatever, that they're U.S. made, they're not buying them in China or anything?
We can't guarantee that. It's also supply and demand. That has to be available in the United States. I think the supply of U.S. made products is on the increase, okay? So, but there's no guarantee in that. The thing about the Pure Power program, what it does for the state of Missouri, it has created over 5,000 jobs in the state of Missouri. Okay? Those jobs are from construction, from maintenance on the turbines. It is helping the school districts. One of the people that I work with on our outreach team that goes out and works at events grew up in the schools up in the northwest corner of the state around St. Joe. She returned home a couple years ago and said it's like night and day from when she grew up. You know, it's a booming community. The schools, I have a nephew who works up at a school in Delavan, Illinois, up around the wind turbines. They have curriculum that we are cutting out. Music, arts, sports, that a lot of schools, because of budgets, have had to eliminate. And because these wind turbines, or these wind farms, are bringing in a tax revenue to that community, they can afford to keep teachers, curriculum, and better teachers than other places. Okay, so it's doing good things for our schools in the state of Missouri. It also is helping the small farmers. Okay, something that's dear to my heart because, you know, my brother would love to have a wind turbine. I haven't made that connection for him yet, but a farmer leases or rents the property where the turbine sits. Okay, they can farm right up to the base of the turbine. So they lose very little productivity, and yet they have a monthly income coming in on that piece of land that they're renting. That was extremely important this year with crop failures because of our drought. Okay? I grew up in a dairy farm. My dad sold the milk, so every month he got a check from Prairie Farms Dairy. But a grain farmer, you know, puts the crop in the field and hopes that it rains and hopes that it quits raining. So this is a good thing for the farmers. It's helping our agribusiness get back up and running, especially the smaller farms that there for so long were really almost becoming non-existent. This is about renewable, the Greenie certified certificate and the regulations. And if you want to go online, you can read more about Greenie certification. We are very proud of that because, you know, we want to keep our program above board and do the right thing. The benefits of green power, as I spoke, you have environmental benefits because it is eliminating carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The economic benefits with creating jobs, supporting the farmers in the school districts. These are options for a residential customer. You can participate in a renewable energy, in Ameren Pure Power for offsetting up to 100% of your electricity. You have three options. I have some brochures over here. You have a half block option, which is 500 kilowatt hours, the full block, which I spoke of, 1,000 kilowatt hours, or the 100% option. And it's actually quite affordable. It's 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour.
And the typical household uses 1,000?
About 1,000 kilowatt hours. That we do have, I think it's a handful of customers. On the full block option, you can do multiples. So if you know that you're using 3,000 kilowatt hours of electricity on the average per month, you can actually purchase 3 full block options. I personally steer people away from the 100% option. And the reason I do that is because it's based on your kilowatt hour usage. So in the winter, it might be fine. You know, 500 kilowatt hours in the winter, you know, because we used more gas in the winter and less electricity. So 500 kilowatt hours, so I paid an extra $7.50 per month, you know, in the winter months. But come summer, and it's July, and the air conditioner hasn't been off for a month, you know, you may have 3,000 kilowatt hours that month. That's going to cost you an extra $45 that month. Okay, so when your bills are the highest, then your pure power participation is the highest. Most people, and this, the 100% option was the original option that Ameren Pure Power offered. Then we went back to them and filed a tariff to offer the full block option because people wanted to know how much more they were going to have to pay, okay? And then the half block option came about a year ago, which just gives people an affordable way to participate. And just by signing up to participate, you create the message, you send the message to Ameren, we want more renewable energy in the state of Missouri. Proposition C was passed several years ago. It requires Ameren by 2015 to have, it's a sliding scale, but 12% of their electricity coming from renewable resources. Problem with Prop C was driven by the solar energy industry, and it requires 2% of that electricity to come from solar. Solar is inefficient. On a utility grade, they would have to cover about half the state in solar panels to reach that amount. And then there's also a cap on how much they can reflect that in the increase to us, the consumer. So Proposition C, although we all voted on it and said, yes, I want renewable energy in Missouri, is a complete mess and may never really go completely into being executed. Ameren has done some good things. They have the Noble Hill, or the Fred Weber methane gas project where they're capturing methane gas. That just went online, I think, about 3 or 4 months ago. That's using to turn turbines to create electricity. So that is a good thing that's come out of Proposition C, but I don't think it'll ever be, it needs to be re-voted on in language that can be legislated. These are companies that participate in renewable energy here in the city of St. Louis. We have over 250 business customers that participate in Ameren Pure Power. Working with 3 Degrees, I also have the opportunity to do things on a national basis because 3 Degrees purchases renewable energy credits or certificates on a national basis. It's supply and demand. When you have a lot of RECs from all kinds of resources all across the country, the price is much lower than our small amount of Missouri RECs. Okay? So, I think I missed something. I did want to talk about carbon off. Well, I did want to briefly explain what a REC, our renewable energy certificate, is strictly for our electricity. Okay? If we put a solar panel on the roof here, it generated 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity in a month. Okay, that would create a renewable energy certificate. Okay? You can keep that renewable energy certificate for yourself and claim that you have reduced, your carbon footprint. You can turn around it as a commodity, you can turn it around and you can sell it to Mercy Hospital. Mercy Hospital is then giving you money for the environmental benefits of that green electricity. Once you sell off that REC, you're back to using brown electricity. Okay? But you have an income coming in just like the wind farms do. Okay? Ameren is actually purchasing some solar, they're called SRECs, locally. So anyone who's putting up a solar panel, if you produce 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity, Ameren will purchase that REC from you. Okay? And that is so that they can head toward compliance with Prop C. Carbon, yes?
Where does is a REC, is it a piece of paper?
No, that's what I said. It's much like a stock or bond. It has a unique number to it.
And who generates that number?
It's the EPA.
Okay.
This is all done. This is all through the Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay.
Carbon offsets, I don't deal with carbon offsets. My specialty is renewable energy. I have very, very few customers that ask about carbon offsets. The difference between a renewable energy certificate or a REC is strictly electricity. A carbon offset is a reduction of 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide equivalent, and that's CO2e, greenhouse gas emissions. Basically, it is something where, I don't know how to explain this. It's much easier to explain a REC. Let's say that we didn't have any recycling at all. Okay, we weren't recycling, we didn't have single stream recycling. And you decided as a company, I am going to keep my wood from the landfill. I'm just going to say wood because I don't, our trees, you're going to harvest trees, or you're going to, after a storm, you're going to go out and you're going to clean up after the storm. And normally that would go in a landfill. If you invested in technology that you could capture the CO2 emissions from that wood instead of putting it in the landfill, it all has to be certified, it has to be qualified. Carbon offsets come from a lot of different sources, okay? But if it's not regulated and you create the reduction of carbon dioxide equivalent through a new technology, then that produces a carbon offset. And you probably saw the article this week in the Post-Dispatch about California passing cap and trade. Okay, and I haven't read all the particulars of that. Basically, what cap and trade is saying that a company can only have this large of carbon footprint, and either you you clean up your act, okay, and get under that level, or you buy carbon offsets to, make that adjustment, meaning that you're supporting the reduction of that carbon, that same amount of CO2 equivalent from the environment. So you're supporting technology that is reducing that same amount. Okay.
I have 3 questions about the return on the energy expended to generate the wind power.
Okay.
I don't understand why wind power costs more than coal power.
Because it is and I can send you, give me your email address, I'll send you exactly I asked the same question when I started doing this, because like he said, my degree is in interior design. I asked the same question from the renewables department at Ameren. He sent me this long formula about how that 6% is calculated over the 2.5 cents. Part of it is in the amount of wind turbines do not turn, coal is on demand. They push the button, you got electricity. Wind is fickle. It actually, the wind turbines turn more at night than they do during the day. Our biggest demand is during the day, so it's kind of the reverse of what we really, So that percentage is like 33% of the time the turbines turn. They also factor in getting the facility up and running. Okay.
So it's the capitalization expenses.
Part of it, yes.
Already been made.
Right. Where you have Labadee sitting there, okay, that, there's no expense there. But I'll be happy to send you what he sent me, because it's complicated. Question 2.
How long does it take for the money I'm spending on pure power to stop buying equipment and start actually producing clean electricity?
Well, what you're spending on pure power goes to purchase a REC.
I understand.
That means that that electricity is being generated at the time.
Right, but the bulk of my money is going to buy the junk that's producing the electricity.
Well,
So
it's
that's-
factored into it.
Right, so that's a lousy dollar spent, because I'm buying paint and wire and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, the unfortunate thing is, you know, I can't, yes, I agree with you. I mean, you can go invest directly in a wind farm, you can put one in your own backyard. For most of us, this is the easiest way to participate in renewable energy.
I don't want to buy the equipment, I'm glad somebody else is. but how-
Exactly,
do
you
know
don't want
how-
all the headaches either.
Do you know how long it takes for my money to have paid that off and I'm finally getting clean electricity?
We're getting cleaner electricity from day one, just by buying the REC. 1,000
Except-
kilowatt hours is going into
Except
the
it
grid.
takes so much
But then you
junk
have,
to make
then
the
you have
equipment.
maintenance, and then you have upkeep, and you have parts that's replaced, so, you know, it's like you buy the combine, you're constantly, you know, you spend the expense, but you're still paying for parts.
A combine is a good example. If you just make payments on the thing and don't take home any income,
Right.
it takes you about 2 years to pay off a piece of industrial equipment.
Right,
So that first 2 years was out the window.
right.
Do you know what the thing is on?
Well, let's put it this way. You know, right at this point in time, this is what our program is. We're in the 5th year of our contract. Because of our success, our contract is going to be extended as of, hopefully, as of May 1st next year. And that's what our renewal thing.
Can you explain the parties in this contract?
The 3 Degrees was contracted by Ameren to manage this program.
Okay.
Okay, it has nothing to do with the wind farms. Okay, we go to the wind farms and purchase the RECs from the wind farms, okay? If they don't have RECs available, if they've sold the Null to Quiver River, then we have to go someplace else to get RECs to fit the program. So, where was it going?
Let's say it takes 10 pounds of junk to make the
Okay, where I was going with this, as time goes on, okay, the more wind farms we have up and running in the state of Missouri, the lower the price gets, okay? So with our renewed contract, we're hoping to have a lower price to be able to offer, because now, you know, we have more RECs available. So, you know, the price is going to get, we started off here, and the price will come down as our supply increases. That, how long that is going to be factored in, you know, I don't know. I can ask Bill Barberry, the renewables manager at Ameren, that question, and we'll see what response we get. Because I don't know everything. So, yes.
Sorry, I have a really quick question to add on to what you were saying. Do you know the max capacity that Missouri can support for wind farms?
Well, at this point in time, they're up in the northwest corner of the state. As technology improves, they're starting to come down in the state. Okay,
So what's the relationship between technology and where the wind is in the state, and like the
because there's
best wind
places
and-
that are windy now,
Mhm.
okay, but just not windy enough. So as your gear ratios and the efficiency of the turbines change, you can put it in places that before you couldn't, okay? The other thing is, as we improve our smart grid, you know, the smart grid, and improve the grid, you know, I run into people all the time that say, oh, I've got a place on my farm and it's always windy there. There's probably a 50-mile-an-hour wind blowing all the time, but they're nowhere near the grid. Electricity, and to me, that's one of the things when I hear people speak about electricity, you lose so much in transmission. If we could figure out how to quit losing so much in transmission, we'd have all kinds of electricity. But that's, you know, somebody else to figure out. But, you know, if as the grid expands, then there's places that maybe could support turbines that now are too far away from the grid to be efficient. Yes.
No, I saw something where in New York City, they have them mounted on the side of the buildings because of the tall buildings, you know, they've got the
Mhm.
wind tunnels. Have you seen anything like that in St. Louis
Here?
at all?
A lot of municipalities will not allow some renewable energy projects.
I mean, these are really, wow, it's really narrow, and it does look like a piece of artwork that
Uh-huh,
goes like this, and I
yeah.
mean, they're just
Well-
spinning like crazy.
If you've been down around the pageant, they're on Delmar, there's actually some of those small, they're smaller ones. But I think as time goes on, you're going to see, more and more of those
Yeah.
coming up on buildings.
Right.
There's a lot of coding, a lot of municipalities, which is kind of what's going to lean into. Clayton became the first EPA Green Card community in Missouri as of last year. EPA Green Card Communities is about 10 years old. It's a program that the EPA has that recognizes communities that offset through on-site renewables or through renewable energy certificate programs such as Ameren Pure Power, a portion of their electricity. We do a study from the beginning, find out what the entire usage is for that area. That means all businesses, all residents. The EPA sets up the levels they have to reach to become an EPA Green Card community. We worked with Clayton 2 years ago along with microgrid solar, and at that point in time their goal was 2% of the electricity for Clayton. We achieved that 2% goal. At the end of the year, the EPA said, oh, we're going to raise the goal, and raised it across the program to 3%. So we went back and achieved the goal the second time. So at the time Clayton became an EPA Green Card community, there was only one in the Midwest, and that was Aurora, Illinois. To this day, there are only 40 EPA Green Card communities in the entire country. This gives a community national recognition for their participation in renewable energy. It gives them signage to put around their community. It's a source of pride for the community, and it's a great way to get the messages out about renewable energy, whether it's on-site or whether it is through an offset. Creve Coeur did a sustainability study about 2 years ago, and their model is actually being used by a lot of communities in the St. Louis metro area. It was a very extensive carbon study. They determined that by 2015 that their carbon footprint, by 2015 their carbon footprint would have increased by 20%. The city of Creve Coeur decided that that was unacceptable and set about to decrease their carbon footprint by 20% by 2015, which is, from a 40% swing from the projection to what they want to achieve. They did things such as changing traffic patterns, planting more trees, a lot of recycling programs, and then the EPA Green Card Community program fit right into that goal for 2015. So we started the EPA Green Card Community Challenge for Creve Coeur in January of this year through participation from a lot of residents and some major supporters such as Mercy Hospital, Monsanto, Danforth Plant Center, Weber Chevrolet, Coleman City Place. We are 83% of the way to the goal, and we have until Earth Day of 2013 to reach that goal. So that's a really great thing. There are a lot of solar projects that are going up in the city of Creve Coeur. A lot of with the coding in Creve Coeur, you can't have a solar panel that faces the street. And so that cuts out about half the residents of the city of Creve Coeur, because if you have a south-facing, your house faces south, and the face is the street, that's where the solar panel would be, and so they won't allow it. But there's a lot of businesses that are putting in solar. There's a lot of schools. Parkway has made the commitment to have a 25K system put on each one of their schools, not just in Creve Coeur, but in all Parkway schools. Priory, I think, has 5 solar panels going in. And it's a great way to educate the youth. They have real-time monitors so that the students can see what in any given day. If it's sunny out, they can see how much electricity is being produced. If it's cloudy, they can see what's going on. So it's a great way to start conversations and educate the youth for a more sustainable future. So, next year we're hoping to have another 1 or 2 communities that want to become an EPA Green Power community or make the challenge. It's surprising, we've met with people like Webster Groves. They're our #1 Pure Power customer area. They are already halfway to the goal, and they haven't even started a challenge. So you might be surprised how easy it is to become a Green Power community. And what I see, and here we have Clayton and now Creve Coeur, and we're keep adding these little pods of green power. We're starting to have this little green spot in the center of the country. WashU has one of the #1 sustainability programs in the country. People are coming in from Seattle to study at WashU. Okay, so if someone's looking to relocate, and we have youth, we want to attract new business, we want to attract younger people, and they're looking for some place that is sustainable. Seeing that we have green power communities in this area really sends a message. That we're not a cow town. We do have green initiative. The RCGA started a Green Business Challenge 3 years ago. There are, I think this year, 85 companies that are participating in this Green Business Challenge. They do a baseline study of where they are today. This evaluates their electricity, their water systems, their recycling, their composting, everything, their HVAC, everything about that business. And then they compete against themselves to make improvements on that baseline. And this was modeled after a Chicago program, been very, very, very successful. And it is the CEOs of major corporations in St. Louis are taking note of sustainability. Because one thing they found out was good for the bottom line. So, becoming even more energy efficient. The greenest electricity we use is what we don't use at all. So, yes.
Back to the Green Power Community
Challenge?
Challenge.
Uh-huh.
Is that just for city budgets and city services, or is that a community-based?
Everything in the community. So the city of Clayton was all businesses, all residents, all city, buildings, facilities, every bit of electricity used for the city of Clayton.
So that was all combined to get
All
to the
combined
Green Power.
together, and then take 3% of that. And that's the goal you have to achieve to become a Green Power community, is 3%.
3%
For that
reduction?
No, participation, in green power. Okay, so
in the
3% of that has to be coming from green power, whether it's on-site solar, wind, or through a renewable energy program. I think it's 8 o'clock, right?
It's 8
You
o'clock.
stood up.
That's his
In
job.
front of me, if somebody has more questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you if you want to stay around.
But if you need to go, please go. If you want to stay and ask Debra more questions. But we appreciate you all coming. So let's thank Debra.